Hi guys, I just wanted to share a new thing. I'm so excited and so stoked. I've been wanting to do this for several months now, and because between moving from where we were, living in our camper, and then moving to here, there just wasn't time to start it, and because it's in a couple of sections. So anyway, this is Dream Wildly, and what I'm going to do with this is make it both the chalk paste that you've seen me do, but also a watercolor. It's a really cute technique. This has sold out. I'm gonna do this next, and this is a new thing. It's a sunflower, etched sunflower. There's a lot of our stuff that you can do this with. I'm just gonna do this just because I was waiting for a while to do that with you. So what I did is I purchased from Chalk Couture a 9 by 12 double-sided shadow box. And what that means is that you can do anything you want on this side of the surface. Say, for instance, I do this on this side, and when I'm done and want something different, I can do the sunflower on the other side, or whatever. I mean, you don't have to necessarily do these things, but this, what's so nice about this is that you can use both sides. It's big on Chalk Couture. They like multi-use surfaces, and you don't have to get rid of this. You can keep it, but you can then, as you change your decor or your colors or whatever, then you can flip it over and do something else on the other side. I'm choosing to do it on the white side tonight, and I have pre-sealed this. My wax got left in the camper somewhere, so we're working through it, but we'll be good as new soon. So anyway, what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and open up the stencil. And you're going to keep this. If this is, you've seen me before, this is redundant, but if you haven't, you're going to keep the package that it came in. And then you're going to peel the stencil off of the backing. You are going to keep this stencil backing as well, because these stencils are multi-use. Now this feels particularly sticky to me, and so I'm going to go ahead and defuzz it. I'm going to put you down so you can see. I didn't really mean I was going to put you down, but anyway, this is a defuzzer. You can do on a clean towel just as easily. The purpose of this, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but is to put a little bit of fuzz on the back of this so it doesn't get, so it's not so sticky that it might pull off A, what you're putting down in paste, and B, any of the color of the surface that you might have colored differently. So you just want to do it 2 or 3 times. And then I'm going to go ahead and place it on the sealed board. And I'm just going to do a quick check on the measurements. Okay, so I have started playing with the watercolor part of this project. And I see now where the wax can actually cause trouble, but you really could not do a surface like this without actually waxing it. So I have a couple of suggestions for you on how to make it work. But first, I took some of the berry paste and mixed it with water, and I stirred it for a while to make sure every little bit of paste actually dissolved in here. And then I did the same thing with the bumblebee yellow for the flowers, and we're going to also use green, and I'll show you exactly how much I used on that. So as I was saying, what has happened is, as I've done some of the berry and just a little bit of the yellow, it's like separating because it's on the wax part of the board where I waxed it. So what I've done, I've tried a couple of different things. With this one, I just have let it dry periodically and gone back and added, and that's working out really well. On this one, I used just white paste on it to kind of rough up the wax so that it had something to adhere to. And that's worked really well as well. So I think based on that, I personally am going to stick with doing it and just touching it up as I go. To me, it looks a little bit more colorish than the bottom one, but whichever you prefer. The other thing I was going to suggest is, since we now know that this could be an issue with the watercolor on a wood surface, you could also just use a white paste or whatever background color you wanted instead of the spray or the wax. And you can just put a coat of this on there and then it would adhere pretty well. The only problem with that is it may pull off with the stencil when you just do the black part of it and the berry down here. It may pull some of that paint off, and that's why I typically don't do that. But it's worth a try because these stencils are reusable. So you've got 3 different options to try to get this to work the way that you want it to. When I do the sunflower, I'm probably going to pick a different surface than this, and we'll just see how that does. But this is going to work out just fine. So I'm going to show you, get the camera all the way down there, and try to come towards you so you can see. Okay, so you can use any paintbrush that you want. The longer these paintbrush handles get for me, the less control I have over them. And this is really the kind of size that I wanted to use. So I'm just going to dip into it. And remember that you don't, when you're watercoloring, it doesn't dry the same color in every spot. So I'm having difficulty with this. And so I am using these things I picked up at, I think, Hobby Lobby. Chalk Couture sells a really nice set of paintbrushes, something along the lines of this, plus brushes that I have not picked up yet. So that will be in my next order. But as you can see, I'm just you don't want to cover the black, because if you do, you're reconstituting the black and it may end up running. So you just want to kind of stay away from it as you can. But as you can see, it's filling in. So I'm just going to give it I'll move on to another one and give this a chance to kind of settle in and dry. And then I'll come back to that. So again, 3 choices. You could paint this white paste and then stencil it. You can do the wax like I did. You can use a spray, a clear sealer spray, goodness gracious, ahead of time. And, like I said, sometimes these new projects, I hadn't done this before, so I'm learning as I go and passing that on to you. So I'm just going to keep on working on this. When I'm ready to go ahead and add some more yellow, I'll get you back on this until you can see it. All right, so I muddled through with all of the berry color, and now I'm going to put green. I'm using pesto. I had a couple of other options. I have eucalyptus, which is kind of a certain kind of leaf that you put on, and then I just had meadow. But I felt like this might be a little bit too bright for the kind of flat effect of the other. So I'm going to go ahead and use pesto. And I'm going to put you down here so you can see how I'm doing this. Whoops. Okay, so I somehow managed to turn off the video. So anyway, what I did with the pesto was I just mixed in some water and I let all of it dissolve in there. And while it was dissolving, I went ahead and started doing some of my yellow. And again, you can just do this anywhere you want. It's your project. I just kind of wanted to have some accents for some, a little bit of brightness here and there. So whatever you want to do. Okay, and now that, let me rinse this brush real quick. And that was my dog just drinking, if you're wondering what all that noise was. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and use the pesto green. It is completely dissolved right now. And I'm just going to use the same brush I just used. I rinsed it out and kind of dried it. Make my hands dry so I don't put water on this. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it in a little bit. If you find it's coming out too watery, then I just tap it off on some of the paper towel I've got over here. And if you're not really liking this style, again, it was just a different thing to try. You can certainly just use full strength paste on it. Now, I will say one good thing if you've waxed your board is that, especially with the watercolor, if it goes awry and gets out of where you really want it, it'll wipe right off. So there's good and bad things. Now I'm working on a really small spot right now, so I'm just going to take the excess fluid off of the brush. And again, just kind of doing touch-up as I go. And I will be doing that sunflower I showed you at the beginning of this in the next couple of days, because that is still available to purchase and do. By the way, guys, I think I said this in this video, but all of our stencils are multi-use. The squeegees you just rinse out, they're forever use. The paste packets go a long way. The paste jars go a really long way. And the ink jars go a long way. I think I've shown you how I've cleaned off the whatever surface I'm working on when I'm using paste and ink. It just takes so much less than you thought it would possibly take. All right, I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of the yellow and just kind of streak it down. Some repair where I want to get it. And that's just kind of give it a sun-kissed kind of look. So we've got it here. Put a little bit more green up here where it's kind of falling apart or just pulling apart. And I'll continue to work with that until I get it filled into my desire. But there it is. That is the finished project. I will go ahead and seal it for safekeeping, but remember you have the whole other side if you want to do another project on that. If you want to do the sunflower on that and switch it for different seasons, that would work perfectly. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.